What's up, Bertini fam? So in today's episode, we're gonna be heading over to Blockhead Moto Garage. Now this is the reason for our visit. What you're looking at here is a poured and polished manifold from Ward. Y'all, this thing looks like an absolute jewel. Look at the details on this thing. It's like pretty. Ward did an awesome porting job on this thing. I love the little details on this thing, like how Ward engraved their name into this thing. That's a pretty nice feature. This way people know when you have a Ward intake manifold. Now, before we head off on this ride all the way over to Blockhead Moto Garage, please do me a big favor and click that subscribe button. This way you could stay up to date with all of my future episodes, and it really does help my channel. To those of you who have already subscribed to my YouTube channel, just want to say thank you guys so much for all the love and support that you show me, as well as all the positivity that I've seen in the comment section down below. Now, as you see, I'm all bundled up here and I have all of my winter gear to put on, including a baklava. All right, well, let's go ahead and get out of here. Go ahead and roll the intro. Such a nice day out today, but it is really cold. So I was actually thinking about removing my heel shifter and only leaving my toe shifter on. I'm not sure yet if that's actually going to be a good idea, because I do have the Baker Grudge box now, and sometimes neutral can be difficult to find for me. I guess because the transmission is still breaking in, but it's not as easy to find neutral as it was before. One thing that actually helped with finding neutral was that aim lockup. That was actually really good for that. I know you've heard me say this a million times, but I can't stand traffic. I moved to my city because there was no traffic. There was literally no traffic. None of these cars existed when I moved here. Or, well, they existed, but you know what I mean. They weren't here. They were in other states and other places. And now they're all here in Clermont, Florida. Beautiful Clermont, Florida. I hope the camera is really giving this scenery some justice. It's so pretty outside right now. Anyways, time to get on the highway. So I have a love and a strong dislike for Orlando, Florida. The love, I love food in the area. Granted, it's not as good as Miami. I love the architecture. Once again, it's not as good as Miami. But, oh look, Ace Cafe. Cool place to go, by the way, in Orlando if you haven't been to Ace Cafe. It's really nice. And they're always hosting something. It's pretty much every night they're hosting something there. But the one thing that I absolutely can't stand is the traffic, and so many of the people here are just so rude. I mean, granted, you get rude people everywhere, right? It is what it is, but the way that people drive here is just like, it's crazy. And I don't know if it's all the people from Miami, because that's the one thing that Miami is notorious for, is the way that people drive there. It's almost like they should not have driver's licenses. It's like they purchased them. They didn't actually take any tests. They just paid somebody off. But there's absolutely like no respect here for anybody. Like, everybody just does their own thing, and I don't like that. All right, end of rant. So we just got here to Blockhead Moto Garage. Now, I'm not gonna be recording a ton of footage on the install of installing the Ward intake manifold. That is not what this video is gonna be about. What I am gonna be doing is showing you a comparison of a before and after, what it was by just having the Screamin Eagle manifold, the intake manifold that is, versus the Ward poured and polished intake manifold. So I'll be giving you a before and after horsepower and torque number. Hopefully we'll be able to get some dyno footage, and yeah, and give you guys the before and after gains. So stay tuned in.
How's it looking, boss?
Well, we're at out of 4, our best is 141 and 126.
141, 126. All right, there you go. Chris is gonna do his horsepower bay magic, and then
We'll be back.
So as you just saw, Chris just did a run with the bike. Now the horsepower and the torque are lower than what we were seeing before, but as I've mentioned earlier on, dynos are different depending on the dyno, and any tuner you go to will tell you the exact same thing. This is why we wanted to do a base run on this dyno before we installed the poured and polished intake manifold from Ward. This way now, once Chris installs the Ward manifold, we'll be able to get an apples to apples comparison. We'll now have a base on this new dyno, and we'll be able to give an accurate reading as to how much horsepower and torque you can expect to increase by installing the Ward intake manifold. So I'm excited to see the numbers here. Chris is pulling off the not factory one, but the Screamin Eagle one now, and he's putting on the new one from Ward. Now, one thing to note, I already have bigger injector.
What I'm doing.
He doesn't want you to know what he's doing. I don't give a shit. Now, one thing to note is on my bike, I do have bigger injectors, so keep that in mind when you're looking at the horsepower and torque numbers that we're going to be showing you guys here in a second. It's with bigger injectors, and so it's, you know, there's a lot of other motor work that's done on my bike, so just keep that in mind. Not all builds are the same, tuners, etc. So just keep that in mind when you see or hear my numbers. Now I just want to show you guys a quick comparison. This is the one that we pulled off of my bike. By the way, for some reason this feels a little bit heavier. It could be because of all the material that Ward pulls off of these things, but essentially what I think Ward does is they take this one from Screamin Eagle and they pour it and polish it out to the one that we just installed onto the bike. Anyways, this one will be going back to Fuel Moto as my core. Okay, so Chris just told me we need to let the bike cool down a little bit because of heat soaking, and obviously that'll take away from the power numbers that the bike is putting out. But we'll go ahead and get you guys those numbers here in a second and let you know what kind of performance increase that you can expect from installing this Ward intake manifold. I already know the numbers, but I want to show them to you first. I want to say it's very, very impressive just for the fact that you're changing out the intake manifold. I did not think that we were going to see this kind of big performance gains, so stay tuned in.
All right, we made a series of 3. Actually, I made a series of 4. The first 4. This was the best. You had 141 and 126, almost 127. Now, the last 2 pulls, we got 146, 135, and 145 and a half, and 136.
Okay.
Horsepower. So in your horsepower, you came up 10. But regardless of what your numbers said before, it doesn't matter what your dyno says. If you're, you know, when I was at the dealership I was at before, we pulled what, 150 and a half and 137 on the horsepower. We did the same pulls here, and we pulled 141 and 126, 127. So we're about 10 off, almost. I will be the first one to admit that dyno's high as a kite. I always liked it for that reason. Let's be blunt.
Yeah.
Every dyno is going to vary, plus or minus a few, even up to 5.
Yep.
That's pretty common. So apples to apples is same dyno, same day, same air, same temp, same everything.
Yep.
Even down to humidity is almost the same still. Our first original pull was at 43%. All right, so we're at 32. It's gotten a little drier throughout the day.
Yeah.
But regardless, we're
This is apples to apples.
This is totally apples to apples.
Yeah.
Yep. All we did was a manifold, retune, and here we go.
Yeah. So in your opinion, and obviously, look, I know you don't like to, like, you know, boost up everything that you do, but in your opinion, because I know you work on a lot of big builds, you work on a lot of big motor stuff, high performance builds. In terms of the intake manifold, it does seem like it actually is a bottleneck on these bigger builds, because this is kind of like some pretty big performance gains.
It is. And I think you and I talked previous that with the manifold, you're going to probably see your pickup most in horsepower.
Yeah.
Torque is not so much. I mean, obviously you picked up a few. You picked up 4, 4.5.
Yeah.
And you definitely picked it up throughout the whole power band. So you're going to have noticeable torque.
Yeah.
But the really big benefit, the noticeable number change is in your horsepower side. Anyways, this is it. This is apples to apples, no bullshit. Filters off.
Yep.
Like, I don't mean the air filter, I mean my filter.
Yeah.
This is just raw data.
Yeah.
So we're not glorifying anything, we're not saying anything is better than anything else. just saying that Ward makes a decent manifold. I think they make a good manifold. And you can see it right there. Hell, 10 on your horsepower. That's a good gain.
Awesome.
And to top it off, you know, you got 4 upwards of 5 on your torque side. So good gains.
Cool. Sounds good. So y'all just heard it from the man himself. It is definitely a good performance mod. Now really quickly, I want to thank Blockhead Moto Garage for always allowing me to come here and film, even if it's at a distance, because I know for insurance purposes I do need to be at a distance, so it's all good. Yeah. But I do want to give them a quick plug, and so if you are in the Central Florida area, Justin, go ahead and let them know how they can go ahead and reach you guys, other than the link in the description box below that I'm going to put.
Right. Go ahead and go to blockheadgarage.com or blockheadmoto.com. really, there's going to be a service tab at the top. You're going to go ahead and fill out some of the information that is on that page, which is kind of like, are you within the 100-mile range of Orlando? What are you guys looking to do? And then it'll most likely bounce to me and Chris, and then we'll get back to you guys as soon as possible.
Awesome. So you heard it from the man himself. So go ahead and do that. Like I said, I'll put links in the description box below. This way it's super easy for you guys. And then, yeah, let me go ahead and jump on the bike. We'll get some riding footage and we'll go ahead and close this one out. So one thing that I'm already noticing is that the power delivery feels a lot more smooth. Obviously that's a tuning thing, but then 2, it also feels like a lot more power than it was before. Now 10 horsepower, it is a big difference, and it is something that you will noticeably feel, and I'll show you guys here. I'll do a quick pull so you guys can see it is consistent power throughout the entire range, and it feels really smooth, which is really nice. I'll give you guys a quick pull here so you can see what it looks like. So yeah, as you saw, it is pretty quick. The power is super smooth across the entire band. Really happy with this modification. And once again, getting back to that whole price per power or price per power ratio, this is definitely a worth it mod. Now make sure if you're interested in purchasing a poured and polished manifold from Ward, you go ahead and click the link in the description box below and hit up Fuel Moto, or of course you can call them up and let them know that Michael Bertini from YouTube sent you, and they'll go ahead and take care of you. The customer service is great there, the shipping is super fast, and their prices are beyond fair. So I highly recommend that if you are interested in purchasing any performance parts, you go ahead and hit them up. And any of the good folks at fuelmotousa.com can take care of you. But if you're really interested in knowing who I work with the most and using him, I know some of you guys out there love him now after watching all of my videos, but you can hit up Tony. Tony is the one who I primarily work with, but like I said, any of the people over at fuelmotousa.com can take care of you. They're all great people, all super knowledgeable. With all that being said, make sure y'all are putting good energy out there into the world and you're paying it forward. I'll check y'all out later. Bye now.